And the show is go. We are live for the show. I repeat, we are live for the show. Hey, Dave.
Excellent.
Nice to see you.
And you, man. How you doing?
I am exhausted because of what is going on, but I'm good. I'm really happy to see you.
Yeah.
And I brought, I finally updated my list of job titles, so I'm hoping you will be able to enjoy some new job titles for the introduction data.
Kidoki, well, I'm on tenterhooks to see what my new job title is.
Well, then let's just jump right in, right? Hey, welcome to Waiting for Review, a show about the majestic indie developer lifestyle. Join your scintillating hosts to hear about a tiny slice of their thrilling lives. I'm Daniel, the head of business development, sales, and marketing at TelemetryDeck, and I'm here with Dave, mayor of Dongletown. Join us while waiting for a review.
I would try and deny that I have that morality. However, I look around my desk. What have I got? I've got a dongle holding up to the camera there, a little HDMI input thingamy that turns it into a webcam feed. I have probably about 4 or 5 of these for various video reasons.
Because you're the video guy.
Yeah.
How are things doing? How's GoVJ and the experiment into multi-platform going? If you want to give us a quick update.
Well, the experiment stalled in the last week because I've been doing so much garden DIY yard work stuff in the house. So even when I've not been out there doing that over the weekend, I've been quite tired.
Oh, you've been touching grass.
I've been touching grass, concrete, bricks with that was with a pickaxe. That was quite fun, actually. It's like
nice.
It's like a game that some people play with blocks and things, except the clipping distance was really far out. The shaders were really good quality, but yeah, you get tired out.
The voxels were kind of small, I assume?
Incredibly small, like it was just on point. I don't know what graphics card they're using, but yeah, it was pretty high level.
Fantastic.
Very realistic. So yeah, that's been my life, playing with pickaxes and sledgehammers in real life. But
nice. So, but did you Minecraft style? Did you also craft something?
No. Yeah, maybe actually. We did a few things that were a little bit like that, but yeah, no major crafting this time, to be fair. Yeah. So the experiment is
speaking of blocks,
kind of on hold. But sorry, go for it. Speaking of blocks,
that can lead me directly into the first thing I want to tell you today, which is I actually got a block. I don't have it physically with me because it's the office, but I went to Berlin last week, and I went to the award ceremony for the Corporate Digital Responsibility Award, which is an award that is given out by a combination of a big German industry group and the state of Bavaria, which makes no sense given that I was traveling outside of the state of Bavaria to go to this award ceremony. This thing is kind of like the Oscar for companies who try to do good things. Good for the environment, good for people, good for ethics, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it turns out we won the Oscar in the privacy and data security category.
Hey, awesome.
So I now have a huge award sitting in my office next to Lisa's award that she got a few months ago for Startup Tech Pioneer of the Year of the city of Augsburg. And both of them are just like really huge blocks of glass. Like the Startup Pioneer, Tech Pioneer kind of thing is like more like a long and thin block of glass. And the Corporate Digital Responsibility Award is an actual like cube of blue glass, slightly frosted. It looks very pretty, and it's incredibly heavy. And it was quite fun to receive that because I very much did not expect to receive that. The invitation was like last summer or so. A few people were like, "Hey, can we nominate you for that award?" And we were like, "I mean, let's look into that." And the nomination process was kind of very complicated. You have to produce a lot of documents and information about your company and stuff like that. And we were like, yeah, come on, let's do it. And actually with a lot of help from our intern, Jan, thank you so much if you listen. I don't think he does, but whatever. We actually handed in our application, got a word a month ago that we were on the shortlist. And so I was like, if we're on the shortlist, I'm going to go there. And It was a kind of huge ceremony, like not Oscars level, but it was pretty pompous, and there were lots of cool people there, who I talked a lot with, and then the award ceremony began, and they had on the shortlist were like 4 companies, and so they were like, all right, we're gonna read out the top 3 winners, and I'm like, that's harsh because people will realize that we're on the 4th place, not just any place below first. But so they read out third place, and I'm like, oh, that's not us. Okay. They read out second place, and I'm like, that's not us either. So now it's either win or last place. And then they say on the stage, they say something like, and for first place, we asked to come to the stage, John Mac name, a name that I just invented because I forgot the actual name. I'm like, oh, that's not my name. Oh, bummer. And then they go on to speak about the winner for this award, a TelemetryDeck.
So they were absolutely every stage. You're like, is it or are we?
Right,
is
right,
it or
right.
are we? And then there you were.
And the people around me were super excited for us as well. Oh, there's confetti on my screen.
Yeah, but only over my chair because I've got the background on. But anyway.
I went up to the stage, and then it turned out they hadn't planned this well because they were planning on holding a small speech. Not me holding a small speech, but they holding a small speech. And like for all the other award winners, they came after me. They only asked them to come to the stage after the speech because it was kind of long. I was like standing there awkwardly, not really knowing what to do with my hands. Like the award in front of me, but I was not yet allowed to touch it. I was like, do I look into the audience? Do I look at the person like reading out their notes?
They're saying so many nice things. You're like, that's mine. That's mine.
They're saying so many nice things. Should I nod? Should I react? I was like just like staring into the crowd and like grinning there. But yeah, and I managed to bring it home safely. Like they gave us with the award, like after the ceremony, they gave us these little boxes that were lined with some sort of silk or something. And that was really helpful because I was really afraid of like cracking the thing.
You're describing something that seems in my mental image of this, that it's like an energon cube from Transformers, like you said, a sort of
or the Tesseract from the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Definitely need you to grab a picture of that or link a social media post.
It's in my. I posted a few pictures of it already, so I'm just gonna link the thing. But you don't have to look it up now. I'm gonna send you the picture again, and then you can look at it. And our listeners just go to the show notes and
see,
marvel at the fantastic award that we got. I need you to speak for 20 seconds, I think.
Okay, so I'll filibuster this space in one way or another. And so nice weather we've been having here lately, Daniel. Middle of the summer here in New Zealand.
I'm done. It's okay. It's okay. I found it. I sent it to you.
Sorry, listeners.
You are rubbish at this. You're usually so good with your words. What's going on today? Did you have your coffee?
I have my coffee. I think I need more coffee.
All right, that sounded way meaner than I meant it to sound. Like you are right now, you were less good, but because I usually know that from you, I only expect the top quality like of words.
Single tear rolling down the side of my face here, Daniel.
Oh, apologies.
Hold on to this moment. I've got the picture of the award, and it looks. Is that your shelf there? That's Lisa's award on the left-hand side in the yellow. Your TelemetryDeck's new one on the right in blue. Honestly, I want to share this actually with viewers on the YouTubes.
Oh, yeah, you can share your screen to the video listeners.
Yeah, I can indeed. Let's see how this works out then. So let me just. Yeah, I am terrible at this today. Give me 1 second.
So now I need to. So I'm going to tell you in the meantime that for this ceremony, because one of the award givers was the state of Bavaria, they had kind of like a Bavarian embassy in Berlin, which is very unusual because Berlin, like north of Germany, looks very different, feels very different than Bavaria, but they had like a tiny slice of Bavaria in the very north. And it was actually awesome. Opposite the North Korean embassy, which was also very fun. Which was, by the way, surrounded by very high fence.
You're like, hi.
But yeah, they had like Bavarian beer and all that. Like it looked like a cliche Oktoberfest kind of situation.
Dang.
They had like a whole, like at least in the basement, they had a basement that was like basically redecorated to look very traditionally Bavarian very like home away from home. And it was very uncanny valley in a way, but they had good beer and like nice wooden walls with all those paintings and stuff like that. Beer garden atmosphere. Oh well,
That's
over to you.
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, like what you're describing there reminds me of this gastro restaurants that tries to be like a British thing in Wellington. That I had a bit of an uncanny valley moment when I went in there, because it's trying to be like the UK. But anyway, I've got a screen share up here. This is your shelf in your office. You've got the awards there. And I wanted to share this because, mate, this photograph, it looks like it's out of an IKEA catalog or something. It looks like like you've aligned it really well. The awards are in the middle. I mean, your rule of thirds is slightly off, but it looks awesome.
Thank you very much.
Nice, very nice. What's the one on the left though?
This
What was
is
that award
a
for?
plant. It's just a tiny plant. It's a succulent, and I put it there because that's usually on the shelf next to the other things. Like there's a few other things on that shelf usually, but I kind of wanted to frame the awards. But then the plant was kind of in the frame, and I was like, I'm just gonna shoot it. It's a tiny robot on that shelf.
Okay.
Like one of those waving prosperity cats.
Yes.
And there's a framed piece of paper that says we were in second place for some other award ceremony thing. But that's just a framed piece of
really
paper.
awesome.
But it's signed by Germany's current Minister of Industry, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. Love it. I love the Hall of Awards, Hall of Fame type thing you're building up there.
Right.
I'm looking into show notes, Daniel, and I'm seeing something here that I really want to talk about, and that is the Galactic Unicorn Gauge.
All
Tell me more.
I will tell you more. So that actually fits very well with this topic because that's another thing that's on that shelf now. So one thing that I've been wanting to do is just keep an eye on how TelemetryDeck is doing and especially like how their calculation servers are doing. And we have implemented a few months ago, we started doing this, and we've implemented a queuing system that will like work on, I want to say 10-ish queries at once, but not too many more because that's actually more performant than making the query server try to calculate all the queries at once that you throw at it. So if you like browse through the user interface very quickly and you have lots of like very slow running queries, then the queue will just fill up and the queuing server will just like work on it. And after I built this, I added a kind of gauge for it to our internal Grafana dashboards that will just like show that in a very rudimentary way. It's just like, okay, it's like split up between different queue priorities because we have like a very low priority, then the normal priority, and then a very high priority as well that we only use in emergencies basically, but that will like bypass all the others. And so I caught myself like opening that web page every day just to look at it. And I was like, I kind of want to, like, this is annoying to always open that thing. And also that dashboard has a lot of other pieces of data and graphs, and all the other graphs only update every 30 seconds or so, but this gauge can actually update every millisecond. No, not millisecond, but maybe every half a second or so, because it's a very quick and dirty and quick and cheap like query to actually know how much is in the queue. And so I remembered that I have this piece of hardware lying around that I bought maybe a year ago, and it's called the Galactic Unicorn. It's made by Pimoroni. I'm going to drop a link into the show notes. And it is basically a Raspberry Pi glued to the back of a huge-ish LED screen.
Nice.
So what you have in the front is a, I want to say, 50 by 11 LEDs screen that has like full color. And then on the back is not a Raspberry Pi, actually a Raspberry Pi Co. is, so it's in the show notes, you can click it later.
Yeah.
Which that doesn't even have an operating system. You just like put onto it. Like if you put on like one Python script or C program, and then it will just run that. But it has Wi-Fi, and it's actually kind of easy to program for someone who's not very much into embedded systems like me. So I'm
just looking at it now, and that looks fantastic. It looks awesome.
Yeah, I have that thing in the office now, and it will every second or so, it will use the Wi-Fi to query that API endpoint that will give you the number of like elements in each queue, and then display these bars like from the left to the right, and it's awesome. It's really fun.
That's fantastic.
Especially like, when I'm programming something and then suddenly the number of queued is like shooting way up because I don't know, I'm deleting some cache or whatever. And you
you
just
can
like look
see
to your
it
left,
reacting.
you can see that fluctuating. It's actually really cool.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that. I'm looking and I'm thinking the only thing there is like, can you get audio off it as well?
It has a microphone, yeah. It also has a brightness sensor, so it's actually a really neat piece of hardware.
Yeah, because I sort of feel like, you need, as it's starting to redline any particular gauge or whatever, you could have it sort of be
You could beep
you. Yeah, or like a, danger, Daniel, danger.
Danger Dan.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, that would work probably. So I'm actually thinking about like what I should do, because right now, if it just reaches the rightmost edge of the screen, it just like does nothing. It will just go on and not display the pixels anymore. But I'm thinking what I could do is I could totally like put in a second layer. Like I have like, for example, like a bright red, and I could put just a slightly darker shade of red on top, and so like just like layer those.
Yep.
That would
you
probably
really
work.
could. You could probably have some sort of animation or something playing as well. Like, so if things were sort of at a good level, you could have it like rippling green across it or something, and then like, if metrics start to shift beyond that baseline, then it kicks in with your lines that you've got now. So you have a very
nice
like,
idea.
yeah,
Right. Yeah, I put in
I'm absolutely looking at it and thinking, yes, I want one of these.
It's gorgeous. I put in a link to a photo of the thing in action onto our show notes. You can look at it as our viewers and listeners. And yeah, one of the reasons why I wanted this thing to be finished right now is because tomorrow we're going to get visited in the office by the world famous TV station Augsburg TV. Viewership is about, I want to say, like 3 bars to 2 dentists and probably a plumber that will have them just like in their public areas, but whatever, like an actual reporter is coming into our office to like interview us for TV, which is kind of cool. So I want the background to look visually interesting, and one of the things that we can put there is this dynamic gauge that's updating all the time.
Nice. Yeah, it's really cool, and it gives this visual to what's going on the servers that it's probably quite abstract for something like that sort of an interview, right? When you're talking about cues and this, that, and the other. Yeah.
So the metaphor we kind of settled on for like explaining this to non-techs is, imagine you're running a cafe or a bar, and you don't really care. Like, you want to optimize the bar like for your profit, but also for like so that your customers like to be there. So imagine you could have like a number for each chair in your cafe. How many people sat on this today? And you don't care like if it was a man or a woman, if they were rich or poor, if they were Dave or Daniel. You just care about the fact that somehow on this one chair there's like only 2 people sat, and on every other chair there was like 50 people on them. And so now you can look for reasons for this. You can try to rearrange, and you can improve your cafe and your seating plan. So that's probably the metaphor I'm gonna queue up for tomorrow.
Queue up, yeah. So then it becomes like your different lines on the Galactic Unicorn at different tables in the virtual cafe.
Exactly. The picture I posted on Mastodon also has a hammer in front. Ignore the hammer; it has nothing to do with that. This is not part of the installation. It's just like to prevent the thing from falling over.
Oh man, bordering into my most recent world there with the hammer.
Because the thing has tiny legs, but I kind of misplaced them.
That's a really good size, and yeah, I'm definitely eyeballing that for this home office. I think I could make use of something.
That's cool.
There.
It's really fun to program. They have lots of examples too. They have this little library that basically so you can basically just copy together stuff. So you're like, okay, I need to be able to access the Wi-Fi and make a web request. So I'm grabbing this piece of code, and that gives you basically the requests library for Python, which is very high level way of just like requesting JSON from API endpoints. And then they have this whole library of like draw a pixel there, and we'll abstract away all the things in the background. And so yeah, it's surprisingly comfortable for such a low level piece of hardware. It's really nicely done.
Awesome
stuff. I think The version I linked on even has a faster processor than the one I have. Like I have the first generation. I
Right.
think the one that they're selling is like second.
You are
So it might be
enabling my
updating
tech
quicker.
habit here, Daniel, because I'm definitely adding that to my shopping cart, and I really wish they were sponsoring us, given the way this show's gone.
They totally should. They totally should. Like because I want to have like 5 of them and display the number of TelemetryDeck signals currently in the data set going.
Yes. Question for you. Bit of a techie
Mhm.
question here, getting into the detail of it. Is it linking to a special API that you've set up or a query that way? Or have you got it directly linked to the Grafana dashboard in some manner?
No, I built a specific API endpoint that will just give you a dictionary of all the queues with number of items in the queue.
Got it.
Because that endpoint I can just like leave unprotected because that's not very privileged information. People could totally query it by themselves. It is also cached. So if like multiple devices querying it, then it will just update its answer at most once a second, and otherwise just return the old answers. Should be more or less DDoS proof. And
awesome.
Yeah, that's how I did it. And I
love it.
And what I also did is because like now the last few days I've been working from home, and I kind of missed that little thing. Like I didn't have a thing to look at for how much are the servers doing, right? So I built the tiniest of tiny SwiftUI applications that does the same thing in the macOS menu bar.
That's wicked. That's really wicked.
But like,
are you going to release
like,
that?
No, not at all, because it is very janky. It is also like it doesn't actually display the gauges because the I in the 1 hour that I gave myself for this project, I couldn't make it display just any SwiftUI view in the menu bar itself. I only could to display either text or a SF symbols icon.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did is like the new generation of SF symbols icons they can take a value from 0 to 100, and then they change based on that value. And some of them have like just like 3 steps, so they change on 0, 33, 66, and 100 or whatever. But I found one that is kind of like a gauge that takes, I want to say 25 or 40 or 40-ish. And so I'm just like saying, if this thing is taking more than 40 items, then it's just like displaying as full, or it will actually switch to a text display. But otherwise, I have just like a tiny icon in my macOS menu bar that will.
That's really nice.
We'll just like update.
Yep. I feel like you should open source it, but I know that would then lead to people testing your DDoSable endpoint there.
Probably. Still, I'll have to think about what's the way of communicating the queuing status to our customers, because it might be because before a few months ago, I always said in the UI, I always said something like, "Oh yeah, this is calculating," and now I actually switched to queued for calculation, and only if it has actually started calculating, it will update the text to "this is now calculating," because it actually feels faster to know that, oh yeah, it's just like waiting for other things. And so I'm thinking, does it make sense to actually tell people like how many items are in the queue ahead of them?
Mm-hmm.
But that might also feel unfair.
Yeah.
Because
how many items doesn't necessarily feel like needs to be communicated. I would say you could do like what the congestion level is ahead in some fashion.
Maybe. And also, I think I want to improve the queuing algorithm, because right now it's just like first come, first serve, but it needs to be fairer. It needs like there's a queuing algorithm that's actually called fair queuing that's used for network requests, I think, that will go round robin on the different sources. And here I could go round robin on the different like organizations that actually want like request a calculation. And that way would be way fairer. And I think that's also something I need to do at some point. But yeah, that's the story of the Galactic Unicorn.
Nice. Well, I don't know, Daniel. I definitely want to get one. I'm not sure what I'm going to wire it up to yet.
That's the other thing, that I had a similar cheap LED display thingy that was slightly programmable before. Forgot the name of the thing, but the problem was that it would only update its display when you actually HTTP post it to it. So you needed to have a computer, an actual computer running a piece of software that would kind of like make it display stuff.
Right.
And with this thing, once you put the program on it, you can just put it anywhere. Like you put a file on its disks that gives it the Wi-Fi as its ID and password, and it can connect with that. It just needs some power. You can even power it off a battery pack, but it also just like USB power delivery. So I have like an old Apple power brick, I think, that is just like giving it the tiny bit of electricity that it needs.
That's really cool. I need to figure out a use for it, I think, before I go and buy one. But there will definitely be a use. But yeah, I'm wondering, could it run some sort of shader type logic or something like that? Like, could I take one of
Might
those?
be too slow for it. Like there are a
Yeah.
few examples. Like there are a few code examples for it that do pretty nice animation. There's one that's called Flames that seems 30 FPS ish, and it looks like flames, like low res flames. But if you look at the code example, they're doing a thing where like they're kind of increasing the voltage and the hertz of the processor temporarily. I don't know if it's good for the thing. I don't know. It might also be only on the Pico 1, which you buying the Pico U2 version, I think. But I don't know. Like, so don't expect too much processing power, I think. But it's still very neat.
Excellent. I'm looking more and more into these things and around the edges of sort of, I guess, Raspberry Pis, really. I know there's a whole world out there of different single boards. But yeah, looking at the edges of this, because that is part of my longer term cross-platform exploration that I've yet to fully embark on. Mm-hmm. But one of the sort of stretch goals inside of that, if you like, is that, hey, if I have this stack that runs multi-platform and it can run on Linux, can I make anything interesting happen on a Raspberry Pi or something like that?
Video processing? I don't know.
Yeah, on the more recent ones, they have a GPU that is reasonable enough to play
imagine
with.
Like a Raspberry Pi, and then you glue to it a NVIDIA 5080 GTX DLSS, whatever.
That's technically possible now, actually, because they've got a PCIe extension for the Pi 5.
So this is where PCs are moving towards. It's just like a video card with a vestigial piece of processor.
That's right. Yeah, you really could. Somebody was running DeepSeek on a Raspberry Pi with an NVIDIA graphics card attached that way that I saw on it. I'll see if I can dig up the YouTube link. It was quite fun. Yeah, no, it's like I say, it's a stretch goal. I've not even properly started yet, but if it happens, the appeal here, Daniel, is that I could potentially take some of what I've got app-wise, put it onto one of these devices and actually turn it into more of like a physical hardware box that purely runs the software I put on it. And that could be fun. Because that was that was my era, man. That was 20 odd years back. All the VJ hardware was kind of these little blocks of things you would connect into a physical mixer.
I mean, I feel like that might be coming back.
Yeah,
all the hardware is very proprietary anyway, so like new app might as well be a piece of hardware, right?
Exactly. Like I say, it's a pipe dream at the moment. It's out there as the thing. Well, we have a 3D printer in the household, and you know, I'm not completely clueless with these things.
You have a 3D printer, and you're willing to use it.
Exactly. But yeah, it's definitely out there. I need to get the apps going first, and that's something I did want to touch on this show, actually. So obviously, I took a bit of a pause to do household stuff in the last week, and I'll get back to the multi-platform and the Linuxing soon and all of that. But in the meantime, I am getting support and feature requests for the existing app that is out there for iOS that's been out there for ages. And yeah, I'm already kind of looking and going, how much do I want to do here to support people while I'm on this sort of like break from the iOS Swift code base, if you like. And I think this is going to be a bit of a juggle, because like any sort of any kind of split that you get like this, you're building up the new thing. The old thing's still there, still out there in public. How much do you give the old thing to keep customers happy and to keep it trucking? And I'm looking, I'm like, I've had a couple of requests in the last week, and I don't think I can get away with ignoring the old code base in the meantime. I think I'm going to have to keep cranking a few things here and there. So,
right, but no new features, right? Just
well, this is I've had a couple of feature requests that are perfectly reasonable, that will literally help somebody do a series of shows, if you like. So they'll be using the app and out there with it. And I'm like, I can support somebody directly right now and add a couple more screens that help with this thing. Or I can go on my little odyssey that's sort of self-propelled into this other stuff. Wow, already I'm not even properly started, and I can see how the tug of the two is going on, you know? Any thoughts at this point, other than, Dave, what the hell are you doing?
It's a tricky proposition. You want to be more multi-platform, but you have the existing thing, and especially you have someone who's a fan of yours, who's using your product, and who would really like some help with that.
Yes.
And I totally understand that you really want to help them. Like, I think I would probably do it time-wise. Like, do you track your time at all?
Not too much, no. It tends to just sort of be dribs and drabs here and there, but I probably should, to be honest with you, Daniel, just to get
that's probably how I would approach this. Like, give myself a limit to always have more, like put in more time into the new thing than the old thing. Or have like a ratio, like 2-1, and maybe something will open up that you can also like combine the two as early as possible.
That's not a bad shout. That's really not a bad shout, and I think that actually is probably what I should do, to sort of, I guess, make sure that that the gap between the two doesn't widen, or that I sort of feel like, okay, I'm now double coding. You know, I've added this screen in the existing app. Well, hey, I need to add that into the new code base. I think I can see a route there that would actually be doable. So maybe this looks like, well, okay, I scaffold up my UI. I get that working, which is the first step, right? That is what I need to do. Can I make my UI work regardless of the actual functionality of the video mixing side of the app? And then beyond that, to sort of bridge this period, can I inject the existing stack, the existing actual video mixing part inside of that UI, and then start to control it from the Kotlin and the Compose side, shooting into the Swift side to then control the what it's doing. It feels like maybe more work and less of a clean break, but I'm wondering, is there maybe that middle route in the middle of this so that I can then sort of keep shipping in one way or another?
I seem to be good at nerd sniping people these days.
Yeah, it's a nerd snipe. It's absolutely a nerd snipe, but it is, I would say it is definitely worth me spending, 10, 15 minutes with a coffee, kind of trying to run through the thought process of this. Yeah. But the thing here is that I don't know if the new video stack is entirely going to follow the same sort of methodology as the old one. So then the actual mapping of UI and everything else could end up being quite top heavy. This is like versioning an API, Daniel, effectively. Yeah.
Maybe you should have like functions that are called like V shader thingy.
Thinking about it.
API versioning is the bane of my existence, I tell you that.
Yeah, there's a route here, actually, thinking about this, and you have thoroughly nerd sniped me in the middle of this conversation, so that's great.
You are very welcome.
So I have MIDI control in the existing app, and one of the ideas for that MIDI control was that eventually I would add open sound control, which is I believe it's like a TCP/IP or a HTTP-based kind of method of control. You do it over network. And I know that with OSC, you can lay out a bit of an API, and you can deliver JSON payloads that give the mappings of things. So you can have, say, I don't know, channel A /effect / the effect number, and then a value that gets dropped in the payload to update that effect.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah, so I could literally if I built that out, I could have an API for the control of the app.
What we need is an abstraction layer. That's always what we need.
Yes, an abstraction layer that buffers whatever the hell is on either side.
I like that.
Yeah.
I won't let you devolve too far into that though, but I need to tell you a bit of follow-up. I need to tell you that Lisa knows that we know that she knows. So a few episodes ago, I told you that it turns out that my co-founder Lisa actually listens to this show. And so she knows that sometimes I do work that is not exactly in the order that we discussed I would do the work, because sometimes I pick a tiny bit of software up and I work on that because it feels way more fun than the boring stuff.
Like a menu bar app.
Right, but that was like, I do time tracking, and that was less than an hour. So
Fair play.
come on. And we also said into the microphones that if Lisa was actually supposed to, to listen to the show, she should send me a unicorn, and she did send me a unicorn emoji and even a picture of her with a cardboard unicorn.
So that is an awesome cardboard polygon designed unicorn there. So yes, hello Lisa, and we know that you know that we know that you know.
Yeah, Lisa also knows that
it's going to get complicated.
I will be going to the office to be available for an interview with her. So that's really nice. Yeah, and I just want to share this. Like, I really didn't expect. I completely forgot about it, and then suddenly, like, Lisa sends this picture of the unicorn, and I was like, "What does that mean? Huh?"
Yeah,
of course.
I forgot. I totally forgotten that we'd asked. And do you know what I love? I'm looking down the replies that we gave her there, and we both pretty much gave her the same reply.
Was that on Mastodon? Can we share the post?
Yes, we can.
Cool. Then I will look it up. All right. Do we have any other follow-up that we want to do? I don't think so.
I don't think so. No.
I'm going to tell you this one thing that I wanted to tell you before, but because it's just like it doesn't matter. It's too small to keep in the show notes. So I bought I bought an AirTag for my wallet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a card-sized AirTag. It's not produced by Apple, so it's not officially an AirTag. It's just like a device that links into the AirTag ecosystem. And
I didn't know they existed.
Yeah, and I discovered, because the format is kind of open sourced, and it works really well. So like you open your Find My app, and you say like add. You say add, and then it asks like, are you adding an AirTag or an AirTag compatible device? And you're like, no, I'm adding a compatible device. And then the UI is slightly different, and it will just like add it. You can like name it. You can give it an emoji as an icon. It works perfectly. The thing is, I wanted to buy this thing of a company that sells these in Europe. I'm not going to name the name because like it's not looking so good for them. It was out of stock, and it cost 45 euros, I think.
Okay.
So pretty expensive. And so I talked to my friend Florian, who is somehow a participant in these shows every now and then. And he's like, yeah, why don't you just order it from AliExpress? And I'm like, I never ordered anything from AliExpress. I now did. It took 5 days. I think they have a redistribution center somewhere in the area, apparently. And it cost me $8. And for $8, I was willing to throw the thing away if it doesn't work. But it's actually exactly the same thing. It is like, if you look at all the product photos and all the little details and everything, it is exactly the same thing. It just doesn't have a printed logo on the side. So it's like unbranded, basically.
Oh, man.
And so I'm like, I don't even feel bad because probably the same company produced this. It's just like the distributor in between has been cut out. So I don't even feel bad that I didn't buy this off the European company.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. I'm looking at them.
Just as any AirTag would, but it doesn't have all the functionality. So AirTags have like 3 types of functionality. They can make a sound. They can hook into the AirTag network so you can find them on a large scale, like where in the city is my AirTag. And then they have the find nearby thing, which is with NFC, I think, or no, shortwave radio.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And the last thing, this thing doesn't have. So I can't find it. It will notify me if I lose my wallet, if I leave it in the tram or whatever. And I can also make a sound. But I can't visually find it in my apartment. But for the sound is enough for the apartment finding.
Yeah, I was going to say that's enough. And I'm looking at the pictures here, and you've got it goes in the wallet like a credit card.
Right. It's shaped like a credit card. You charge it. It's rechargeable too. You charge it by just putting it on a T charger.
Yeah, that is really awesome because actually it kind of bugs me when things are sort of e-waste by default. So this is not that. Yeah, I kind of want one. I put an AirTag in my wallet, but the trouble is that it kind of only basically works. Like, I'm not sure if my wallet is actually blocking it from being properly trackable. So, yeah, I'd definitely be interested in trying one of these. Fantastic.
I mean, you're way closer to China than I am, right?
That's right. And we get good delivery times as well from AliExpress. I've had within the week, which kind of blows my mind. But,
I mean, yeah, I had like a really bad conscience because like shipping something from halfway across the world, it's not very environmentally conscious. But I kind of like, it was kind of like, my excuse is that the thing itself was probably already in Amsterdam by the time
Yes.
I actually ordered it. But still, I don't want to do this all the time, but it was kind of neat.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Well, you've got 2 things on my shopping list this episode without us having sponsorship. And you've
If you want to
nerd-sniped
sponsor
me.
this show, email contact at waitingforreview.com.
Absolutely, yes.
And with the subject line sponsorship, you two are fantastic and lovable, and you deserve all the money in the world. That needs to be the exact subject line, or we will just auto-delete your email.
Absolutely. Actually, I'm sorry, you also need a unicorn emoji on the end of it as well.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. But on that note, Daniel, read us
Right.
out, mate. Let's
I
do the
will.
outro.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Please rate us on iTunes, rate us, thumbs up us on YouTube. Send us emails to the email address I just mentioned, contact@waitingforreview.com. And also join our Discord. The link is in the show notes. Dave, please tell us where people can find you on the internet.
Good question. I reckon the best place right now is probably to check out my Instagram, and that is usually where I post things about my app more than anything else. It is lightbeamaps.com, spelled DOT.com, all one word. I'll link it in the show notes as always. But Daniel, how about yourself?
Yes, I kind of always go back to the Mastodon account, so find me at daniel@social.telemetrydeck.com, where I control the complete experience, which is kind of nice.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Have a wonderful day, and see you soon.
Will do. Take care, Daniel.
Bye.